Just to put the problem in perspective, we all know we're short housing. And frankly, when Up for Growth started, we knew we had to quantify the problem in order to inspire policymakers to step up with solutions. At that point in time, this is back in 2018, everyone sensed that there was a problem, but wasn't quite sure what to make of it or how to quantify it. And so we did that work, and we now publish our research in a report called Housing Underproduction in the US. And that report most recently found that America's housing shortage has more than doubled over the past decade, from a little bit less than 1.6 million homes in 2012 to today, we're now approaching 4 million missing homes. And with interest rates and with building costs and with labor shortages, that shortage of housing is expected to continue to escalate. And so in terms of solving the problem, there are a number of solutions, right? I often go to the land, labor, lumber, lending, which are the four major components or inputs into building homes across the country. Doesn't matter if you're talking about big multifamily apartments or single family homes. It's going to take lumber, it's going to take building materials, it's going to take the workforce, it's going to take loans and investments, and it's going to take land. And the fact is, interest rates go up and down. Labor force can grow and contract over time, but zoning is forever. And zoning is the #1 indicator, or let's say driver, of availability of developable land. And so that's where we're focused, is moving zoning to be more inclusive, moving zoning to allow a broader array of housing types, moving zoning rules so that builders can move through the process quicker and more effectively. And so that at the end of the day, we can achieve all of our mutual goals here around getting more Americans in homes that are safe, that are comfortable, and that are affordable. And ultimately, that's the objective. And we are seeing early signs of progress, and we saw a lot of opportunities. We see a lot of opportunities in the years ahead. The good news is, now that the YIMBY movement has been alive for about 10 years, we have some early indicators. Take California, for example, where the state legislature, over a number of legislative sessions, changed statewide planning rules to allow, as of right, what's called accessory dwelling units. You could call them casitas, you can call them mother-in-law units or backyard cottages. These are homes that are built in the backyard of an existing single-family home, which at a neighborhood scale effectively doubles the capacity, doubles the supply. Urban Institute just put out a study on the California experience and found that 2 out of every 10 homes built in the state just over the past few years have been ADUs, thanks specifically to those policy interventions. Take another example. The city of Los Angeles implemented policies that stated if you provide a share of units in a to-be-built apartment building as permanently affordable, you get to bypass the Byzantine approval process that so many developers face. You instead get ministerial as-of-right approval to build in that city. And guess what? Lots of permit applications have come to the counter. Lots more housing is getting built in downtown LA and other key transit-oriented districts around the city. Now, of course, the wildfires have really exacerbated the housing shortage that Los Angeles has already been experiencing. And so there's going to be a major rebuilding effort. But with these early proof points of changing, loosening, let's say liberalizing zoning rules on the ground, we've shown that policymakers can make a difference, attracting investment, clearing the path for local developers and builders to meet the community's housing needs. And so we're optimistic. We know that there's a lot of work left to be done, and we need to apply a much more comprehensive approach than simply legalizing accessory dwelling units. But the benefit of this movement over the past few years has been the creation of those evidence points, of those proof points, to show that it is in fact possible to build more homes and to increase affordability if we address the structural barriers. So look, we have a severe shortage of homes. To solve America's housing shortage, we need the involvement of every stakeholder that this crisis touches. That means investors, that means developers, That means non-real estate business leaders. That means cities. That means organizations focused on the environment. And by stitching together these voices, Up for Growth is a force for change, a force to educate policymakers on the problem, to provide a roadmap of what they can do about it, and to provide the constituent support so that they know when they take that hard vote to say yes for housing, they've got the support behind them. Best estimates we have is that research from the National Multifamily Housing Council found that 40% of the cost of building a new apartment in your average American city has nothing to do with bricks and sticks and everything to do with land use and zoning constraints. And so our mandate is to simply bend the cost curve through proactive policies at the federal level and at the state level to make it so communities can finally be more responsive to housing needs, consumer demands, and preferences. Because today, unfortunately, for every 1% increase in demand for housing in the state of California, we're only seeing half a point increase in the supply. And that's a recipe for the continued spiral into a deeper and deeper housing shortage.